Well, let's kick off with MTN, a cellular network operator which operates in 21 countries with large businesses in Nigeria, South Africa, Ghana and Iran. It has over 182 million customers, a market cap of 302.2 billion rand, price to earnings ratio of 14.7 and a dividend yield of 4.4%. And this stock has run hard of late, although a slight pullback in the last little while. Perhaps, Sasha, I know this is Paul's all-time favorite, so I'm assuming you are in the same camp.
Yeah, we've been holding the stock for the better part of a decade. So we've benefited. And interestingly, if you take a couple of steps back, you said the yield's 4.4%. Used to be next to nothing. Why? Because we've entered a phase of, I guess you could say some sort of maturity in the market. Some of the territories that MTN operate in, I don't think they'd be your favorite holiday destinations. And in fact, there's a civil war in Syria, there's always conflict in Sudan, and Iran is having these sanctions, and from time to time there's a flare-up in northern Nigeria. So I think, some of the territories that they operate, there comes a lot of risk, but I think you're starting to get rewarded by the way of much higher dividend payments in the future. The next big step for all of these companies is how do they monetize data properly?
Rob, the fact that it's trading just off its all-time highs, where do you think we're going to see MTN trending now? Should you have got out at the top?
It's always difficult to tell where the top was. I mean, in retrospect, you can see that was the top, but would it be the top in a few months' time? I think the risk.
So you're also on a bull run here when it comes to MTN. I'm not going to hold either of you back.
No, I don't think so. I think that with Iran, problems in Iran, Sudan, Syria, etc., there is risk to their model, and Nigeria also has had a few problems. So that risk, you've had to take some money off the table, and I think you've seen that in this sell-off now. People are taking very strong earnings. They got a bit of a dividend, and they're taking some money off the table. But this has been quite an aggressive pullback. They're trading from 180 all the way down to the 150s. So it's been a good pullback, and maybe there is time to look at it again at these levels before it makes a second move up.
That means you're going to pile in. Are you going to put more money? You've been in there for 10 years. Why not just take a little bit more?
We're carrying on buying the stock on the basis that the dividend payments are going to be greater in the future, but there is still scope for growth, and it's through data, dissemination of data. You've seen, I think in Nigeria last year, they sold 3.8 million smartphones, and data revenue grew at 111%. So amongst a population of 160 million, not of who all have a mobile phone, aspiring to have the latest and best smartphone, I think that's where the next big growth phase is coming from.
Sifiso Domingos is staying out of the limelight. You don't see him in many public forums, do you?
No, he's been relatively quiet. I don't think with all of their problems in these certain areas, I think he doesn't want to put his foot too far forward just in case something happens in one or two of these areas. If Iran explodes and there's war there, they're going to be on the back foot. So I think while things are running well.
So you like the fact that he's holding back and not highly visible in the market?
Yes, I think so. It's a time of also consolidation in telecommunications in South Africa, where margins are coming down and there's not much growth on the South African side. So you probably stay away from that discussion as well. So I think it's fine that he's staying away. Obviously, we want to see something come out towards the end of the year to see what they're going to do to expand into Africa and get that money out of data.
Well, of course, being a journalist, I'm not a fan of anybody who wants to stay out of any discussion forum. Let's get your thoughts on this one, Sasha.
Yeah, it's interesting because he's an engineer, so Zimbabwean by birth, but has been at MTN, I think, since 1999. So the person who led them through the acquisitive growth phase, Pachuma Nhleka, he's now thrown his hat in what looks like in the minerals space for the time being. So he's the guy who really grew the business, and now you've got an engineer who's in charge of the business. So it makes quite a nice fit and quite a nice shift away. Almost not too dissimilar to Alan Knott Craig and Peter Oss.
You're not going to say anything negative about MTN, either of you, are you? Hot or not on MTN?
Hot.
Hot or not on MTN?
Hot.